for Module 3, let's take a look at just the first one. And I'm going to remind you of a couple ways we can do it. And then you'll choose the way that's, of course, the fastest. Okay? So on the first one, if I wanted to do 1/5 times 2, I could think of it as 1/5 of 2. You don't have to draw this, I'm just reminding you. So that would be, the total would be what? 2. And how many equal parts would I have?
5.
And then I'd have to figure out one of those. That's not very easy. Or I could think of it as 2 copies of, 2 copies of 1/5. What's my answer? 2/5. Now there's a really easy way to do it. Take the 2 times the numerator, whole number times the numerator, and keep the denominator the same. Did we just say 2/5?
Yeah.
So 2 times 1 on top of 5. Write it down. Okay? What if I do 3 copies of 1/5? 3/5. Does that work with the multiplication? 3 times 1?
Yes.
And keep my denominator as a 5?
Yes.
Okay, let's do another one. 4 copies of 1/5. 4/5. 4 times 1 on top of 5. Is this the same problem as the one above it?
Yes.
It is. So there's no reason to do any calculating, just write the same answer. Okay? So that's what you do there. Now let's move over here to 23 where it gets a little trickier. Okay? So if we keep the same strategy, I don't want to make 12 copies of 5, 6, so I'm going to multiply. 12 times 5. What is it? 60. We really need to know our 12s. And what's my denominator?
6.
So these could be your choices, 66 or
10.
I would like for you to write both. And instead of writing or in there, what do you think I'd like for you to write?
An equal sign?
An equal sign. Very good. Okay? Now this can be thought of as 60 divided by 6. So are we actually dividing today?
Yes.
We are. We're dividing. So 1 times 15.
15.
What's my denominator? What's 15 divided by 3?
5.
Okay. 2 times 15.
30.
2 times 15 is
3.
30.
Oh, 30.
What's my denominator? 3. 30 divided by 3?
10.
Okay, is this the exact same problem? Just write a 10. Is there anything, let's scroll down a little bit. Let's do something pretty hard. How about 34? We did this problem 2 days ago. We'll see how many of you remember it. So 5 times 18. Does anybody remember what that?
90.
Oh my goodness. Who said it so fast? Raise your hand. Oh my goodness. 90 divided by 6. I gave you a hint.
15.
You got it. It was 30. Remember this?
Yeah.
60, 90, and they were all 15s, and that would be how many 15s? How many 15s do you see? 6. So 6 times 15 equals 90. Okay? All right. So on this one, I'm going to give you just 3 minutes. Okay, answers for side A. 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 4/5, 3/8, 5/8, 7/8, 7/8, 3/10, 7/10, 7/10, 2. 4 halves equals 2. 2. 6/3 equals 2. 2. 10/5 equals 2. 9/3 equals 3. 18/3 equals 6. 8/4 equals 2. 24/4 equals 6. 12/6 equals 2. 66 equals 10. 15/3 equals 5. 30/3 equals 10. 30/3 equals 10. 15/5 equals 3. 30/5 equals 6. 65/5 equals 12. 45/5 equals 9. 45/5 equals 9. 18/6 equals 3. 96 equals 15. 96 equals 15. 24/4 equals 6. 72/4 equals 18. 32/8 equals 4. 96/8 equals 12. 168 equals 20. 224/8 equals 28. 279 equals 30. 441/9 equals 49. 168/7 equals 24. 294/7 equals 42. Okay, let's do answers for side B. 2/7, 3/7, 4/7, 4/7, 3/10, 7/10, 9/10, 9/10, 3/8, 5/8, 5/8, 2, 10/5 equals 2, 3, 9/3 equals 3, 5, 10/2 equals 5, 6/3 equals 2, 12/3 equals 4, 12/6 equals 2, 66 equals 10, 8/4 equals 2, 24/4 equals 6, 15/5 equals 3, 30/5 equals 6, 65 equals 12, 45/5 equals 9, 45/5 equals 9, 15/3 equals 5, 30/3 equals 10, 30/3 equals 10, 24/6 equals 4, 126 equals 20, 126 equals 20, 24ths equals 5, 64ths equals 15, 24/8 equals 3, 72/8 equals 9, 128 equals 15, 168 equals 21, 315/9 equals 35, 378/9 equals 42, 147/7 equals 21, 336/7 equals 48. Okay, I'm going to pull your stick to come up and write the answer to the volume underneath each shape. Emily, you're first. Emiliano, come and get ready. Good. George V., you're after Emiliano. Dara's after George. Good. Vaughn, you'll be next. Miguel's after Vaughn. You guys are getting faster at this. I think it's 8. Okay. So this one, if you're watching from home, is 8 centimeters cubed. Sound good? Okay. So this is a problem. It says an ice cube tray has 2 rows of 8 cubes. How many ice cubes are in a stack of 12 ice cube trays? Draw a picture to explain your reasoning. Let's draw a picture of one tray. I don't really want to draw 12 trays, do you?
No.
Okay, so an ice cube tray looks like this. It said there are 2 rows of 8. So one tray equals how many cubes?
12.
16. 2 rows of 8. 2 times 8, right? Okay, now I have to figure out 12 ice cube trays. So 12 trays equals 16 times what?
12.
12. Okay, 16 times 12. That's turtle head multiplication.
Okay, 12.
No, just do it on your paper. Georgia, you want to come and do it on the board? Good. So he remembered his X's and O's, didn't he? Yeah. That's the main thing kids are going to forget since we haven't been doing this for a while. Did you all remember your X's and O's?
Yeah.
Good job. Okay, so let's write a sentence explaining this. I'm going to write in cursive today. Can you read it?
Yes.
Good. What's it say?
There are 192 cubes and 12 ice cubes.
Why aren't you reading it together? Try that again.
There are 192 cubes and 12 ice cube trays.
Okay. Let's take a look at the lesson. All right, so right now, what I need you to do is just put your paper down and get a bag of cubes, please. Okay, now on the lesson today, we're going to be talking about the layers of the rectangular prism. Remember, the rectangular prism, the top and the bottom are going to look the same, aren't they?
Yes.
Are all the sides going to be the same shape? No. But they are going to be the same as the first layer. Are you already building? Because I haven't even told you what to do yet. Okay? So the first thing I want you to do, let's build a rectangular prism and let's put 6 on the bottom. Okay? Go ahead and put 2 rows of 3 to make 6 on the bottom. Do you like my 3-dimensional cubes? All day. It works all day until I record. Okay, so do you have a layer of 6 on the bottom?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's take that layer and add another layer to the top of it. Okay? So that should give us 12. 2 layers of 6. I'm going to bring that down here. That's one way to do it. How do we do it? We did 2 layers of 6 equals 12 cubic centimeters. You don't have to write it because you don't have anything to write it with, okay? All right, so let's do it another way. Let's think of the layers, because that right there, those layers, remind me of the layers of the earth. They stack on top of each other. Do you agree?
Yeah.
What if we did our layers like a loaf of bread? What if we did our layers vertically? You think we could do 12 with vertical layers like that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, all of our rectangular prisms have to look the same as the first one I made. So I can't stand this up taller. Okay? It's still going to be 2 rows of 6 when I'm done. But I want you to look at this right here. Right here, I see 4 cubes, don't you?
Yes.
Okay, so let's start with 4. So that's 1 layer of 4. Because we're doing vertical layers. Do you see it with me?
Yes.
Okay. So could I add 2 more layers right next to that
Yes.
to make 12? Okay, let's try that. So go ahead and add 2 more layers. I'm putting my layers in front, but you don't have to. You can put your layers in back if you want. On this one, of course I still have 2 layers of 6, but I also have what? How many of those layers of 4 did you add? What?
3.
You're right. 3 layers of 4 equals 12 cubic centimeters. Okay? Is there another way I could do it? Well, let me help you a little bit. Let's say I had a loaf of bread. And I decided to cut it this way and make giant pieces of bread. Okay? Is that an option? Okay, so if I do that, look up here, boys and girls. I'm going to cut it like this. So do 6 with 3 on the bottom and 3 on the top. Start with that. So there's a layer of 6, but it's a vertical layer again, isn't it? Yeah. So did you make that vertical layer of 6? Okay, what do you think we'll do now?
Add another one.
Add another layer either in front or behind it, right? You know, this would have been a good time for us to use color coding with our cubes. So we could see how we made the layers. Okay, so do we have 3 identical rectangular prisms?
Yes.
We do. But we did them differently. We did 2 layers of 6 again here, didn't we? 12 cubic centimeters. Okay. So now what I want you to do, you're done with your cubes, so it's too late to sort colors. Okay. Let's go ahead and let's sort of draw what we just did. What was, think back in your mind, what was the first way we did it? We put 6 on the bottom, didn't we? Okay, so that was 2 layers. Beverly, this is the first one we're doing. Okay, how many were in each layer?
6.
So we would label it like that. Okay? So over here on my chart, you don't have a chart, but you can just write this down. 2 layers of 6 equals 12 centimeters cubed. Okay? What was the second way we did it?
We did
4.
Yeah.
We did 4. So it's going to look like this. Are you watching?
Yes.
Those aren't very even. And we would label like this. So how many layers did we have? 3.
Oh.
How many cubes were in each layer? 12 cubic centimeters again. Okay? Who remembers the last way we did it? We said we're going to make a giant piece of bread.
3. No. 1.
6. Okay? So that, but it was 6 vertical. So watch how I'm going to draw this. And then straight down. I'll label this one 6 and 6. So that's the same rectangular prism divided into layers 3 different ways. 2 layers of 6. Even though this looks the same, it's not, is it? No. Okay, so now we're going to try it on shapes that we didn't practice with cubes, just doing it on paper without cubes, okay? All right. So this one is a little trickier because there's a lot more cubes in this figure. We're not going to waste time doing it because now you're moving away from hands-on to just using your eyes and doing it on paper. So let's go back to the first way we divided the cubes, the 12. Like the layers of the earth. Or I was thinking the layers of a wedding cake. And then that made me hungry for wedding cake. So how many layers do you see going this way?
4.
5. 4 lines. Okay? So 4 lines on your first rectangular prism. And then they've got to go back as well. Okay, now I want you to take a look at what I'm getting ready to highlight here. Can you see what I'm highlighting?
The top
The top. We need to count the cubes in the top to figure out how many cubes are in each layer. So on your paper, count the cubes in the top. What'd you get?
12.
Okay, so you would label it like this. How many layers of 12 cubes do I have? 5 layers of 12 cubes. So now we know how many there are. How many?
60.
60 cubic centimeters. Okay, do you have that much done? Then we cut it like a loaf of bread, didn't we?
Yes.
Okay, so that was how? This way? Yeah. So let me get this erased and then let's look at our figure again. So I'm going to cut it like this. So I'll start with 2 lines here. Start with that. This kind of looks like books on a bookshelf to me. Now watch what I'm going to highlight. We'll count this set of cubes. And don't shout it out, just count it on your figure. What'd you get? 20. So I've got 5 and then 4. That's 20. So I'll label it like this. Did you already have it counted, Emiliano? Okay. He was just sitting there looking at me. You're a step ahead of me? I'm going too slow. How many layers of 20 cubes?
3.
3 layers of 20 cubes. Is that 60 cubic centimeters?
Yes.
It is. Okay, this last one is like, it's tricky, is what it is. So we're going to cut it that way. Like a bigger piece of bread, I guess. I don't know, maybe it's smaller. So I need two, how many lines do I need? 4? 3. 3 lines, so. The main reason this is tricky is because there is not very much room. And then I need 3 lines here. And I'm going to look at the cubes in the front. This is where we stacked up 3 and 3 and made 6 in the front. So what do we have? 3 times
15.
15. So here is how I will label 15. So how many layers of 15? 4 layers of 15 equals 60 cubic centimeters. All right.